I played a Traitors game through WhatsApp and I damn near lost my mind, sinking deeper and deeper into a ruthless world of lies, betrayal, manipulation, sabotage and cold-blooded murder. And now I am out and I don't think life will ever be the same again. If you don't know what the Traitors is, it is perhaps the hottest reality game show in the world right now. 20 or more people gather at the castle. Around 3 of these people are given the role of traitor, and their job is to gather each night and choose one of the remaining faithful players to murder. For the faithful, they have one chance a day to catch the traitors when they gather at the round table to banish the most voted for suspect. Get it right and their task becomes easier, in theory. Get it wrong and they go to sleep knowing yet another faithful will be gone in the morning, killed in the night by the shadowy slayers they let slip away. Adapting this game for WhatsApp was surprisingly simple. We started with one castle group chat, with every member of the party included. Alongside that was a much smaller group chat, one only the select few got to experience. The Traitors turret chat, where those secretive serpents gathered to choose their next victim. Beyond that, it was up to the players how to proceed, whether to risk opening side chats, whether to engage with people or withdraw, how to participate in the daily challenges. Every action had a consequence and every interaction raised further questions as the paranoid pack sought to identify those they could trust and those for whom the trust was irrevocably broken. And you would think it would be easy to lure out the liars and pinpoint the pariahs. I certainly did. But as one by one the faithful fall, the doubts and distrust grow, and you end up overcome by the obsession, unable to see anything for what it is, while those villainous vipers lead you straight to the poisoned apple, whispering wickedly until you bite at their deceptions and end up cast out forever. And let me tell you this, that obsession, it consumed me.
Promptly suffers a complete mental breakdown. He's now obsessed with some bloodlust.
But it wasn't an overnight addiction, no. The inciting incident came on day 5 and it had nothing to do with the game, although the consequences of it were severe. Before that though, the game was much simpler and my approach was much more naive and sentimental. See, my game was played by people in the FPL community, and as such I knew a lot of them, and I was enjoying the opportunity to chat with people, both those who were new to me and those who I knew but hadn't interacted much with. For me, the first couple of days were as much about building new relationships as it was about playing the game, which was reflected in my first roundtable vote, where I voted for the person who had engaged with the game the least. I was enjoying the puzzle, and I didn't want to take that enjoyment away from someone else unfairly, and I explained that before making my vote. And this move, I have come to learn, was my first mistake. You see, in a WhatsApp Traitors game, there is no body language to call upon. Conversation patterns can be altered and misconstrued. The only real evidence the faithful have is in the voting patterns, and the early days are the most informative. By declaring my reasoning, it allowed others to adopt the same, and it negated that possible evidence trail. Of course, it doesn't all come down to voting patterns. The other real opportunity for the faithful is in the challenges and how best to use them to discern the truth from the lies. And the first challenge, that was where it all started to fall apart for us. We just did not know it at the time. You see, our first challenge was to identify the 6 players who had requested to be faithful and to name them, and whoever got the most would win a shield. One player did not name himself, and then it was was later revealed he had asked to be a faithful. Why did he lie, we asked. The lie must be evidence, we decided. I misread the question, he claimed, thinking the alignment of all named players would be revealed. Our second banishment, it changed the question. It wasn't who is a traitor, it became can we trust this player? Too many people thought not, and so, by a margin of one vote, the most experienced faithful was kicked out of the castle. Our best chance gone, because we couldn't believe someone could make a genuine mistake, and we failed to consider that the traitors were manipulating the situation to keep the heat on. The paranoia was growing and the obsession was taking over. In a game like this, all being wrong does is deepen the desperation to get it right, and the worst is yet to come. But first we were thrown a bone. The second challenge was murder in plain sight, and a traitor had to post a tweet to the faithful they wished to eliminate. This was quickly identified, giving us the easiest day as we waited to banish someone that we were certain on. This, I later came to learn, was our second mistake, and yes, it was me who drove it, making a moral question about risking a faithful losing out on the fun when we had a traitor bang to rights.
I love you, but you are not serious people.
But in this game where nothing is as it seems, banishing the known traitor was the biggest tactical mistake it is possible to make. For one, if they make it to endgame, you know their alignment for sure. For two, by turning up the pressure, you can force the traitors into mistakes. We had a sure thing, and sentiment clouded our judgment. When it comes to WhatsApp traitors, the only way the faithful can win is by being even more ruthless in the search for information. 2 more faithful banishments followed, and our belief in our deduction abilities waned. For me, I was trying to stay under the radar, asking the pertinent questions, giving people the chance to answer, and then pulling back so as not to appear too threatening to those with the knives at our backs. And then on the Friday night, everything changed for me. Deep inside this headspace of the game, I received some news which jolted me back to reality. A childhood friend had tragically passed away. I stayed up all night, remembering the memories, processing the news, sobbing my heart out. I made a video sharing my emotions, and then I couldn't sleep. The games master, he offered me a day off to allow me to adapt to the news and to have a break from the intensity of second guessing everything I was hearing. I should have taken that break. Instead, I returned to the game. Fueled by failure and galvanised by grief, I embarked on a mission to catch a traitor that night at any cost. I laid a trap, and the first person to respond, I jumped all over them. For hours I harangued them, desperate to persuade the pack that I had solved the biggest part of the puzzle. For 5 days I had been open-minded, giving people the benefit of the doubt as I pieced the evidence together. My rules were simple. Everyone was represented by a glass, and everything they said or did added or removed water from their glass. Whomever had the most water in their glass at the end of the round table, that's who got my vote. But on this day, I did not follow that strategy. Believing I had caught someone in the act, they had no benefit of the doubt. In my weakened headspace, I was convinced they were the answer, and everything they said felt like some sort of desperate traitor defence. I missed the very real pain my interrogation was causing, and that is on me, and that is something I will always regret.
I don't have friends. No. Wonder why.
That person did not lose the vote that night. They chose to leave the game anyway. They were a faithful.
There goes that dream.
You wouldn't think a simple fun game could get so intense, but when you immerse yourself into a world, it starts to become the only thing that matters. Conversations go unheard, activities become ignored, text messages go unread. All that matters is solving the puzzle, and this particular conundrum had become fiendishly difficult.
This isn't a game to me. This isn't playtime. This is serious business.
After the intensity of the day of accusation, we were all given a day off. With hindsight, leaving the group chat open 24/7 before that was perhaps a mistake. Downtime in a game like this is crucial to reconnect with the real world, to have some conversations where you don't have to question whether manipulation lies behind every word. With every failed vote, with every faithful banished, the desperation for a successful deduction grew, and before you know it, you can't see the forest for the trees. The downtime day was needed, and it gave us all a chance to reset, to see things with fresh eyes. Except, of course, I was unable to switch off, racked by guilt, driven by desperation to avoid anyone else suffering the fate of the day before. I spent all of that rest day coming up with a strategy, the faithful path I called it. I created a group chat with 2/3 of the remaining field and revealed a 2,000-word plan to blindside vote out the remaining third of players. I believed that final third, who all voted together at the previous round table, I believed it housed some traitors. I also accepted at least one traitor would be in the group chat I had created. I was almost counting on it, on them being ruthless enough to go with the plan and ensure safe passage to the endgame. Logically, the plan allowed us to minimise the risk of those on the path being eliminated by ensuring only murder could see us depart. Strategically, it gave us a system to explore alignments, enabling us to react upon information unearthed rather than flailing blindly in the dark. Emotionally, it ensured nobody else would need to face a barrage of questioning lasting multiple hours. And it was this last part which is the key, because for all people think it must be hard being a traitor, spending a week lying to people. For me, being a faithful was so difficult. And so, day whatever is in the books in the round table, and I am really starting to struggle. Like, this is a really testing game. It's a lot harder than I thought it would be, and it's starting to do my head in a bit. It's the weight of the decisions of who you vote for and of who you challenge is really hard, because what you're doing every night is calling people liars and then arguing why these people are liars, and they're not people you know apart from in a conversation, and you're calling them liars over and over based on nothing, based on patterns that you're starting to convince yourself you see. And it's a much harder game, this Traitors, than I ever anticipated it would be. In WhatsApp Traitors, it is the liars who have the easy job, because they can say little and stay detached, voting with the momentum and avoiding any of the emotional drama. It is the faithful who must force the issue, and the faithful who must bear the burden of their blunders. Of course there were traitors in the faithful path. What I had failed to consider was that whilst they showed the faithful no mercy, their loyalty to each other was unshakable. They expertly manipulated the faithful path to their own ends, sowing further discord and decimating our chances of success. One by one the faithful fell, until the game ended with 4 traitors triumphing, a complete whitewash.
Oh, you're really not as smart as I thought you were.
My demise was sealed before the final, the penultimate murder inflicted by the Fiendish Four. As I returned to the real world, it took me a little bit of adjustment. I could take people at the word again. I could answer without considering agendas. I could look at things objectively without factoring in the strive to survive, the need to ensure safe passage to the following day. Once my fate was sealed, I gave my best guess and I correctly deduced 3 of the remaining 4 traitors. For a first go at the game, it was a good effort. Some would call it a personal victory, but not me. For what I realised as the game went on is that the Traitors isn't a game about cracking the case. Victory isn't achieved by locating the liars and pinpointing the perpetrators. No, the secret of the Traitors isn't in apprehending the assassins, but in finding the faithful.
I'm going to Mordor alone.
Of course you are. And I'm coming with you.
The Traitors isn't a murder mystery, not really. It is a game about social manoeuvring, about building relationships, about taking a chance on people knowing that they may break your heart. The Traitors is a game that worms its way into your head, and the only way through is to choose to trust. And yes, you may put that trust in the wrong person, but if you never trust at all, you will always end up the loser. And that is a lesson which reverberates far beyond the castle walls, and it is the memory of this game which will abide. The WhatsApp Traitors was one of the most intense experiences of my life. It is one I have learned so much from, about myself, about how I interpret behaviours and how I relate to others, and most importantly, about how I can be so wrong, even when I am sure I am right. WhatsApp Traitors treats you to the highest highs, it forces you to endure the lowest of lows, and it is something which changes you forever, whether you want it to or not. So all I have to ask is this: who wants to play a game?